My girlfriend said I had never asked you to choose between me and a friend. Now, I have grown since then while actively planning to leave me for her MBA classmate. I found out yesterday and I am still shaking as I type this. What she did next made me realize our entire 4-year relationship has been a lie. Okay, Reddit, I don't even know how to say this without sounding completely insane, but I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. Some context first. I know how this is going to sound, but bear with me. 4 years ago, when Sophie and I had been dating for about 6 months, I became close friends with my coworker Emily. We bonded over gaming, grabbed lunch, texted about work stuff, normal friend things, right? Nothing romantic, nothing inappropriate. Emily was even dating someone else at the time. But Sophie lost her absolute mind. She gave me an ultimatum I will never forget. It is either her or me, Mark. I cannot handle watching you light up whenever you talk about Emily. Choose. And like an idiot in love, I chose Sophie. I cut Emily off completely, blocked her number, avoided her at work. Eventually she transferred departments. Lost one of the best friendships I had ever had because Sophie couldn't handle me having a female friend. I have always wondered if I made the right choice. The guilt has eaten at me for years, but I told myself Sophie must have had good reasons, that maybe I was being insensitive to her feelings. Fast forward to now. Sophie's in her 2nd year of MBA school, and she has got this study group that meets twice a week. There is this guy Ryan in particular she mentions a lot. They grab drinks after class, work on projects together. She is always laughing at texts from him. 2 weeks ago, I brought up how uncomfortable this made me feel, especially given our history with Emily. And here is what she said, and I remember it clearly because it hit me so hard. Mark, that was 4 years ago. I was immature and insecure then. I had never asked you to do something like that now. I have grown. You need to trust me. I felt like such an idiot. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was being paranoid because of what happened before. Maybe I should just trust her. But then yesterday happened. I came home early from work because our servers were down and there was nothing to do. Sophie wasn't expecting me until 6 p.m. I heard her on the phone in our bedroom, and guys, the tone in her voice. I had never heard her talk like that before. Soft, intimate, laughing in this way. She used to laugh with me at the beginning. I tried not to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help catching pieces. Something about cannot wait to finally do this properly. And he doesn't suspect anything yet, and just need to figure out the timing. Then she noticed me in the hallway and immediately changed her tone. Oh hey babe, Ryan and I were just discussing our marketing project. How was work? Ryan? Of course, it was Ryan. The worst part. When I asked her about it later, she looked me dead in the eye and said you are being paranoid and controlling again. Just like with Emily. I thought you had worked through this jealousy issue. She used my guilt about Emily against me. Made me feel crazy for having perfectly reasonable concerns, but I cannot shake what I heard. The way she said those things, the immediate topic change when she saw me. Reddit, am I losing my mind here? Is this just trauma from the Emily situation making me paranoid? Or is my gut trying to tell me something I don't want to hear? I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to confront her directly, but after what happened with Emily, I am terrified of being the controlling boyfriend again. Part of me wants to ignore it and hope I misunderstood. But that phone conversation keeps playing in my head, and something about her reaction when she saw me just felt so guilty. What would you do? Update 1 Reddit. I decided to do some basic checking before talking to Sophie again. I felt awful about it because snooping isn't usually my style, but something about that phone call was eating me alive. I started simple. I checked our phone bill online since I handle most of our accounts. Sophie and Ryan have been texting way more than I realized. Some days there are over 100 messages between them. And the calls, guys, they are talking for hours, sometimes until 2 or 3 in the morning when she tells me she is studying late at the library. That was concerning enough, but then I noticed something weird about our Netflix account. There were shows and movies being watched that neither of us had ever mentioned. Romantic comedies mostly. Watched late at night when Sophie claimed to be studying. When I asked her about it casually, she said she sometimes put movies on in the background while doing homework. Maybe that could be innocent, but combined with everything else, it felt off. The breaking point came 3 days ago. Sophie left her laptop open while she went to grab coffee from downstairs. Her Facebook Messenger was still logged in, and I could see Ryan's name at the top of her recent conversations. I know I shouldn't have looked, I know, but I did. What I saw made me feel sick. Not the whole conversation, but enough to confirm my worst fears. Messages talking about how excited they were to spend more time together. References to their date nights disguised as study sessions. Sophie complaining about how I don't understand her intellectual needs the way Ryan does. But the one that really got me was Sophie writing, "I hate lying to him, but I cannot deal with another Emily situation. He will freak out if he knows how close we have gotten." Another Emily situation? She was comparing her emotional affair with Ryan to my friendship with Emily. Except Emily never sent me romantic messages or took me on secret dates. I managed to take some photos with my phone before closing the laptop. But my hands were shaking so badly I am not sure how clear they are. Since then, I have been paying more attention to Sophie's behavior, and now I am noticing things I missed before. She is always texting someone and smiling, then quickly putting her phone away when I come near. She has started wearing perfume to her study sessions. She comes home later and later with increasingly creative excuses. Last night she said she was going to a group study session at the library until 10 p.m. But when she came home at 11:30, she seemed almost giddy, happy in a way she hasn't been around me in months. I am starting to realize this has been going on longer than I thought. All those nights she came home late from studying. All those times she was too tired to hang out with me but somehow had energy to go out with her study group. All those times she made me feel crazy for asking basic questions about her schedule. The thing that is really messing with my head is how she has been using my guilt about Emily to shut down my concerns. Every time I express discomfort about Ryan, she brings up how controlling I was about Emily. She has weaponized my biggest regret to stop me from protecting our relationship. But here is the difference. Emily and I were just friends. We never hid our conversations. Never met in secret, never talked about how much better our friendship was than my relationship with Sophie. What Sophie is doing with Ryan is completely different. I don't know how deep this goes yet, but I am starting to think I need to find out the whole truth before I do anything. If I confront her now with just these few messages, she will probably just deny everything and be more careful about hiding it. Some of you suggested checking our credit card statements, and I am thinking that might be my next step. We have a joint card that we both use. So if she has been spending money on dates with Ryan, there should be a record. I feel like I am going crazy doing all this detective work, but at the same time, I think it is the only way I am going to get real answers. Sophie has proven she is willing to lie to my face, so asking her directly seems pointless. This whole situation is bringing up so many feelings about Emily. I wonder if she tried to warn me about Sophie's jealous and controlling behavior back then, but I was too infatuated to listen. I wonder if I threw away a real friendship for someone who was never worth it. God, I feel so stupid. How did I let myself get manipulated like this again? What should I do next? Reddit. Keep gathering evidence, or confront her with what I have. Update to Reddit. I cannot believe I am writing this. But you guys were absolutely right about everything. The situation is so much worse than I imagined, and I am honestly still processing it all. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to keep investigating before confronting Sophie. Over the past few weeks, I have been carefully gathering more information, and the picture that has emerged is devastating. I checked our joint credit card statements like many of you suggested. Sophie has been using our shared card for expenses I never knew about. Dinners at restaurants I have never been to, drinks at upscale bars, even a 2-night stay at a resort in Aspen that she told me was a study retreat with her female classmates. I looked up the dates of that Aspen trip and cross-referenced with social media. Ryan posted photos from Aspen the exact same weekend, same resort in one photo. You can see the view from his room, and it matches a selfie Sophie posted to her Instagram story. She spent our money on a romantic getaway with another man, then came home and acted like she had missed me terribly during her girls' trip. The financial betrayal alone would have been enough, but it gets worse. I have also been paying closer attention to her patterns, and I have noticed that Sophie always picks fights with me right before her study sessions with Ryan. She will find something to get upset about, storm out saying she needs space, then come home hours later in a mysteriously good mood. I think she has been using our arguments to justify her emotional cheating. About a week ago, I made a decision that some of you might think was wrong, but I needed to know the truth. I reached out to Emily. I sent her a message explaining what was happening and apologizing for how I had handled things 4 years ago. I told her she was right to be hurt by how I had treated her, and that I was starting to realize Sophie had manipulated me into cutting off our friendship. Emily's response wasn't immediate. And when she did reply, she was cautious at first. She said she had always hoped I would figure out what kind of person Sophie really was. But she hadn't wanted to interfere because she knew I had to come to that realization myself. We met for coffee a few days later. It was awkward at first. We both acknowledged that, but Emily was more gracious than I deserved. She helped me see patterns in Sophie's behavior that I had been blind to. Like how Sophie had always been jealous of any woman in my life. Not just Emily. How she would gradually isolated me from female friends and coworkers over the years, by making me feel guilty about maintaining those relationships. How she had convinced me that normal friendships were somehow threats to our relationship. Emily also pointed out something I hadn't considered. Sophie made me cut off a platonic friendship with a woman who was in a committed relationship and had never shown any romantic interest in me. Meanwhile, she is having an emotional affair with a single man who is clearly interested in stealing her away from me. The hypocrisy is staggering, but here is the part that really opened my eyes. Emily admitted that 4 years ago she would actually tried to warn me that Sophie's jealousy seemed excessive and controlling. She had suggested that Sophie's ultimatum was unfair and manipulative. But I was so infatuated with Sophie that I had dismissed Emily's concerns as jealousy. I threw away a friendship with someone who actually cared about my well-being to appease someone who was using me. Armed with this new perspective, I have been watching Sophie's behavior more closely, and I can see the manipulation tactics Emily described. The way Sophie makes me feel guilty for having reasonable boundaries. The way she turns every conversation about her behavior into an attack on my character. The way she uses my past mistakes to shut down current discussions. Yesterday, I found more evidence that confirmed my worst fears. Sophie left her phone charging in the kitchen while she showered, and a text from Ryan popped up on the screen. Just the preview, but it was enough. Cannot wait until you don't have to hide this anymore. Just a few more months, and you will be free. Free, like our relationship is a prison she is trying to escape. I took a photo of the message preview, and I have been thinking about what it means ever since. It sounds like they are planning something for after she graduates. Like she is just waiting until she has her MBA and can support herself before she leaves me. Which would explain why she has been so careful not to push things too far. She needs my income to help with rent and expenses until she finishes school. I am literally funding her exit strategy. The more I think about it, the more I realize this has probably been going on for months. All those late study sessions. All those times she was too tired for intimacy, but somehow had energy for school events. All those new clothes and changes in her appearance that she attributed to wanting to look professional for networking events. She has been planning her new life with Ryan while using me as financial and emotional support, until she is ready to make the jump. I am planning to confront her this weekend, but not the way I originally thought. I am not going to ask for explanations, or give her chances to lie her way out of this. I am going to present what I know, and give her the same ultimatum she gave me 4 years ago. The difference is, 4 years ago she made me choose between her and someone who cared about me. Now I am making her choose between me and someone she has been lying to me about for months. I have already been quietly preparing for the possibility that this relationship is over. I have opened my own bank account and started moving some money. I have looked into what it would take to get her name off our lease. I have even found a few studio apartments I could afford on my own. If she chooses Ryan, I will be ready. And honestly, after everything I have discovered, I hope she does choose him. I don't think I could ever trust her again. This isn't just cheating. It is months of calculated deception while using my resources and manipulating my emotions. Update 3 Reddit. I did it. The confrontation happened, and while it went pretty much exactly as you all predicted, it was still emotionally intense in ways I wasn't fully prepared for. Sophie came home Saturday night around 11 p.m., which has become her new normal. She was in that same glowing mood I had been noticing, the kind of happiness she used to have with me but clearly doesn't anymore. She went through her usual routine, claimed she was exhausted from a long study session, took a shower, then settled on the couch with her phone to catch up on messages from her mom. I waited until she seemed comfortable, then I sat down across from her with a folder of printed evidence. Sophie, we need to talk. I know about Ryan. Her face went through several expressions very quickly. Confusion, then panic, then what looked like calculation, then back to confusion. What do you mean? Ryan's just someone from my program. I opened the folder and showed her the credit card statements with the Aspen charges highlighted, printouts of the message photos I had taken, and the screenshot of his text preview about her being free. I know about all of it, Sophie. The secret dates, the romantic getaway you charged to our joint card, the messages about leaving me, everything. She stared at the evidence for a long moment, and I could see her trying to figure out how to spin this. Finally, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Mark, I can explain all of this. It is not what it looks like. No explanations. 4 years ago, you made me choose between you and Emily. You said I couldn't maintain a friendship with another woman while being committed to you. Now it is your turn. Choose, him or me. You have 10 minutes. That is when her whole demeanor changed. The tears stopped, and she got angry. This is exactly why I have been pulling away from you, Mark. You are obsessive and controlling, going through my phone, tracking my spending, following my social media. This behavior is toxic. She tried to make me the villain for discovering her betrayal. Just like you guys said she would. You are boring and emotionally unavailable, she continued. Ryan actually challenges me intellectually and supports my ambitions. All you want to do is play video games and act like we are still in college. When I didn't react to those manipulations, she switched tactics again. Fine. You want honesty? I choose Ryan. I have been trying to figure out how to end this relationship for months, but I didn't want to hurt you unnecessarily. You are forcing this confrontation. I wasn't surprised by her choice, but hearing it said out loud still stung. Then she said something that made me realize how lucky I was to be getting out of this relationship. But I cannot just pack up and leave tonight. I need time to coordinate with Ryan, find a place to live, arrange my finances. Give me until the end of the month. She wanted to continue living in our apartment while she planned her new life with her affair partner, using our shared resources to fund her transition to being with him. No, Sophie. You made your choice. Pack what you need tonight. You can figure out the rest from somewhere else. Where am I supposed to go? It is almost midnight. I am sure Ryan can help you figure something out. You have been planning this with him for months, right? It took her about 3 hours to pack her essential belongings. 3 hours of slamming drawers, making phone calls to Ryan, and trying to negotiate staying just for a few more days to get organized. The most revealing moment was when she was looking for some expensive jewelry I had given her for her birthday last year. She was getting increasingly frantic searching for it. Sophie, if you are looking for the pearl necklace, I returned it yesterday and put the money back into my account. Figured you might prefer to pick out jewelry with Ryan. Her face went pale. You had no right to return my gifts. You had no right to spend our shared money on dates with another man. Consider it compensation for the hotel bill in Aspen. Around 2 in the morning, Ryan showed up to help her move her stuff. It was telling that he was available at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, like they had coordinated this possibility in advance. Ryan tried to play the role of the mature, reasonable guy. Look, Mark, I am sorry things worked out this way. Sophie really did care about you, but sometimes people grow apart. I looked him straight in the eye. Congratulations. You are now dating someone who lied to her partner's face for months while spending his money on another man. I hope you are prepared for what that says about her character. Sophie tried to interrupt, but I wasn't finished. Oh, and Ryan, you should know that Sophie was still sleeping with me as recently as last week while telling you she was emotionally done with this relationship. Just thought you should understand what kind of honesty you can expect going forward. His expression changed completely. Apparently, Sophie had led him to believe they were emotionally exclusive even while she was still physically intimate with me. It has been 4 days since they left, and I feel strangely relieved. I thought I would be devastated, but instead I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Emily came over yesterday to help me rearrange the apartment and get rid of Sophie's remaining traces. We ordered takeout and spent the evening talking and playing some old video games we used to enjoy together. Nothing romantic happened. We are both being very careful about timing and intentions, but having my friend back feels wonderful. We are taking things slow and rebuilding trust, but it is amazing how much I had missed, having someone in my life who actually listens without trying to manipulate or control my emotions. I have realized something important over these past few weeks. 4 years ago, Sophie made me choose between her and someone who genuinely cared about my well-being. I chose wrong then, but I have finally corrected that mistake. The financial situation is getting sorted out. I contacted our bank and explained that I needed to separate our joint accounts due to relationship dissolution. They were very helpful and professional about the process. I am also working with my landlord to get Sophie's name removed from the lease since she has voluntarily moved out. As for the disputed charges on our credit card, I am handling that through proper channels and documenting everything for potential future legal needs. 2 days ago, I got a text from Sophie. Mark, I think I made a mistake. Ryan isn't what I expected. Can we talk? Apparently, the reality of dating someone who helped her lie and cheat isn't as appealing as the fantasy was. I didn't respond. Today, Emily showed me something Sophie posted on social media. A photo of herself looking sad with a caption about learning hard lessons about what really matters in life. I feel bad that she is hurting, but that doesn't change the fact that she made her choices. She had months to communicate with me about her unhappiness in our relationship. Instead, she chose deception and betrayal while using my resources and emotions as her safety net. 4 years ago, I was so afraid of losing Sophie that I sacrificed my self-respect and a valuable friendship. I let her convince me that having reasonable boundaries was somehow controlling behavior. Now I understand what I actually deserve. I deserve someone who chooses me consistently, not someone who shops for replacements while pretending to be committed. I deserve someone who addresses problems directly instead of manipulating my insecurities. I deserve someone who builds me up instead of tearing me down to justify their own poor choices. Most importantly, I have learned that the person who forces you to choose between them and your other meaningful relationships usually isn't worth choosing.